Thank you very much. I'm going to cover this briefly. You'll be glad to know because I've already stood here already today. So, PR as a driver for social change. The CPRE has released a number of reports over the year. This is 50th anniversary. So these signature reports are quite seminal reports. And this is the first time that PR as a driver of social change has been included in one of these reports. So this is quite an important topic. At long last, there is a realization that public relations education and what we do in classrooms is not just about preparing people for the workforce. And too long, our education classrooms have been about knowledge and skills so that people can become competent practitioners within organizations. And that's restricted, really, I think, our approach to pedagogy, in that individuals, when they're young, and we know if we can, some of us, it's a long time since we were 18, but for most of us, we can remember when we were 18 and how curious our minds were. And just to have a pedagogy that focuses them down on work is not doing them a good service. So getting them to think critically about the key issues that are facing society and the key issues that are going to be facing them as they go out into the workforce, I think is a responsibility of us as educators. And we've seen and we heard Professor Dorian talk about the rise of CSR in society and how social conscience and social issues have become the province of organizations anyway. And so if people go into the workforce, this consciousness of the world outside work is going to impact on them pretty quickly. So if I just show you one slide, if we can get back to the slides again, please. Could we get back to the slide deck again, please? There was some work done with practitioners and academics together, looking at a new definition of public relations, really, which was around public relations being a strategic communication process that built mutual benefit between organizations and its stakeholders. And then there was an additional phrase, and act as a catalyst for social change. And I think that's a really good progression for us. And so you can see there the chart on the right-hand side of the screen. There was huge agreement about that definition between practitioners. In fact, the practitioners are in advance of the educators in wanting to see social change as a key element of the curriculum. That it is about relationship building in its broadest sense, not just instrumentally for organizations. That there's a legitimate advocacy role for social issues and for education around advocacy on social issues. That there is a conscience role for practitioners within organizations to raise social issues. And we've known about brands taking stands for a number of years now. And that is been on the right side of history. And balancing organizational and societal interests is serious business. Organizations cannot just work for their own good anymore. They are part of society. Some organizations are bigger than countries in terms of their gross income, and therefore they have profound responsibilities. And we also have a role in supporting the voices of employees, because employees are the representatives of society and they bring their whole selves into work, and therefore listening to what their social concerns are key. There's a couple of things as well that actually the percentages were reversed. So here you can see all the practitioners, apart from that bottom one, were in advance of educators in their thinking. But the two other things that I've just jotted down here, PR as a driver to social change, the educators were actually ahead in wanting that to happen. And new employees, and hearing the voice of new employees as well and their social concerns. You're not entitled to get an opinion about society just because we've been with the organization a long time. Again, if you're going to be welcomed into a company, then you expect that company to have a concern about those things that you are concerned. So, interesting, when asked about the relevance of this agenda, all the practitioners said in the focus groups that actually talking about social change in our organizations makes us relevant to society. They don't care, really, if our frozen peas are frozen to -5 degrees or -6 degrees. But they do care passionately, as long as they're edible and good. They do care passionately about how we treat our employees when they're picking those peas. And they do care passionately about the amount of energy that freezes those peas. So these are key issues for the practice. And the other thing that they were very clear about, and this was the practitioners, saying that young people can act as educators within our organizations to make us alert to key social change issues. They've got their fingers on the pulse more than we have, and therefore we need to listen to them. So then, educators should consider how social change and its content can be combined with this skills-based curriculum that we've insisted on for a long time. And many universities, to be fair, are measured on your ability or your employability skills puts you in rankings. If you're good at employability, you go up the rankings. How about you being good at contributing to society? Wouldn't it be lovely if universities had rankings that measured that? Okay, so how do we do this in practice then? So very quickly. Well, students' own experiences should be used in the classroom to enhance discussion. So we talked, Anka talked a few minutes ago about some of the issues that are arising around mental health with young people, the challenges facing Gen Z, the fear that they have that the planet is going to burn to a cinder before they reach old age. We need to talk about the issues that concern students in the social context within the classroom. We need to think as educators about dedicating some resources to this topic. That means engaging with communities, engaging with the voluntary sector, engaging with activist groups, which is going to take time and resources to do. And we need, above all, to be courageous. Now, we know that there, and I'm going to be a bit more controversial here, there is what we might call a progressive view in the world that is driving polarization, and there is also the anti-woke view in the world, which is driving polarization. And we as educators need to be brave in raising topics which are controversial. We need to risk being no-platformed because we are brave enough to raise issues that are crucial to enable our society to progress. So those are some few comments about PR as a driver of social change. I just want to go on to the resources. I'm going to spend 1 minute on this. The resources can be accessed via the website, and there's a QR code there that my colleague Anka put on. And in those resources, there are some student resources about education, which are very accessible, and for them, only 5 pages long, because we know about brevity and sharpness being important to them. There are teaching resources in there. There's an executive summary of this report, the full report there, and there are also translations of the executive report in Russian, Ukrainian, Spanish, Chinese, and if there are any volunteers in the room who would like to do a translation, not of the full report, but of the executive summary, which is only about 6 pages, please come and talk to us. Because although the CPRE was founded in the US, it is really important in a globalized world that we have global discussions about educational curriculum. We are educating global citizens, and therefore we also all need to embrace these suggestions for us. So thank you very much, Katerina. I'll hand back to you just to close now. Thank you.